हमको मिली है आज ये घड़ियां नसीब से, जी भर के देख लीजिए हमको करीब से, नान नेसिपदुम श्वासिपदुम उन्दयवान दाने.
Lovely. Thank you for beginning with that wonderful medley, Jayashree. Welcome to Film Companion South.
Pleasure, Bharadwaj.
I have been meaning to have you over here for a long time just to pick your brains about film music and your journey with it. Now, you grew up when you were young. You started learning classical music very young. Was there anybody in your house who said, this girl should not be exposed to film music because that will corrupt her classical training? Was there anyone?
No, there wasn't. So I was born in Calcutta. We lived in Dover Lane, Calcutta for about 10 or 12 years. And my older brother, who's about 5 years older to me, comes back from school, toddler that he was, humming a song. And my mother was completely captured by that song. So she went back to his school to find out the source from where he had picked up, because he kept humming it all day and for days together. And then she finds out that Mrs. Roy, his kindergarten teacher, had actually sung the song for him. And that song opened the doors and windows of our house to Hindi cinema music of the 40s, 50s, 60s. The song immortalized by Lata Mangeshkar, composed by Madan Mohan, Naina Barse Rimjhim, Rimjhim.
Okay.
A song that caught my mother's attention. So she was a remarkably open person, and obviously the charm of the song is also responsible for what we are today.
So when you say in those days, was it just basically Hindi music that you got, or were you also exposed to Tamil film music or the other film music from other places?
So when we moved to Bombay in the late 60s, some family friend gifted us with a Philips transistor, that black little pretty box, not so pretty box, in fact, brings a smile to all our faces, right? So my mother would be in the sitting room. So we had just 2 rooms in our humble home in Bombay. In the sitting room, she would be engaging with Carnatic music round the clock, teaching students. And in the other room, which kind of doubled up as a study room, as a bedroom, etc., my brothers and I would be glued to this Philips transistor, tuning into Vivid Bharati around the clock. So we would begin our day with Sangeet Sarita, then listen to Fauji Bhaiyon Ke Saath in the afternoon, right up to Bela Ke Phool, with Amin Sayani thrown somewhere in between, Binaka Geetmala. So I could say that Philips transistor was our musical companion. And it was also lovely that my mother would snatch in moments between her class to come and listen to a song or two. In fact, the tunes that we heard, the way it was rendered, was so attractive. For me, film music seemed to be so expansive, so savvy, and so creative. In fact, the Hindi that I learned, singing those songs, practicing them, listening to them, is much more than the Hindi I ever learned at school. So Vivid Bharati and Hindi film music in the voice of Mohammad Rafi, Lata Mangeshkar, Talat Mahmood, Manna Dey, Asha Bhosle, Hemant Kumar was a constant with the 24-hour Carnatic music in the adjoining room.
Did you find yourself drawn to a particular kind of song when you listen to it, or everything, the fast songs, the slow songs, everything pretty much resonated with you?
I must confess, for some reason, the sad songs appealed to me. And I've never thought or wondered why. I think sad songs have an additional line of melody running through their veins, perhaps, maybe. So we would love Madan Mohan songs the best. And then, of course,
began with one.
Yeah. Yes, I did. That is a family favorite. Then, of course, the songs of S.D. Burman Saab, R.D. Burman, Jaydev, all of that. But yes, sad songs appealed. I think it kind of helped me grow up and understand nuances of my growing up. I could find expression in those songs of things that I couldn't express myself in the way those lyrics were interwoven, those of Majroor Sultanpuri or Sahib Ludhianvi or Shailendra or Samir, the way it was Kafi Azmi. So there was something that I felt that this is what I would want to say, or this is how I'd like to say it.
Can you give an example? Just sing an example.
Like, for example, another favorite is a Madan Mohan song, which is Zara si आहट
आहट
होती
होती
है
है.
तो दिल ये सोचता है कहीं ये वो तो नहीं, कहीं ये वो तो नहीं. जरा सी आहट होती है तो दिल सोचता है कहीं ये वो तो नहीं, कहीं ये वो तो नहीं. So these, the way the कहीं ये वो तो नहीं, दिल सोचता है, the way it's placed, the word is placed and juxtaposed with the tune, maybe found, it's a family favorite again.
Did you find yourself, you just said, I mean, you were listening to it with a musician's ear? Would that be right to assume? Because you were also learning the other kind of music, the classical music. So would you say that the way you listened to this was a little more involved than, let's say, your brothers would listen to it?
I have thought about this, and why I thought about this perhaps will give you the answer to your question, Bharadwaj. In the sense, for example, if I heard this particular song, maybe initially I was thinking, oh, it's Kalyani or Yamuna Kalyani. But long ago, I had stopped thinking of what ragam it is or where it was derived from. For example, there is this Malayalam song. So my family has its origins in Kerala as well. So we grew up listening to the music of Dakshinamurthy Swami and Baburaj sir, Devrajan Master, and Yeshudas and his voice would be a part of our home. We would wake up to Yeshudas' song. So there's this very lovely song, a 1969 song. Uttara Swayamvaram Kathakali Kanuvan Uttradaratriyil Poirunnu. So this melody is derived from the so-called 22nd Mela Karta Karahara Priya Kafi Thaat and all of that. But the swaras, the raga is just like, and there is no definite Karahara Priya or Kapi or Abhogi. But it's like, there's some kind of a meandering.
Right.
So long ago, I stopped thinking. In fact, there were occasions when I'd be sitting with a group of people and who would think it's important to ask me, so what ragam is this? Would you know, Jayashree? And I would say, does that matter?
Yeah.
So I don't think, to answer your question, I continued to listen to it as a Carnatic student of Carnatic music. For me, it was just music, and there was so many layers there of the swara, the raga, the beauty, the lyrics.
Both the songs that you sang were Madan Mohan songs. I want to ask you about a favorite of mine, SD. Can you name a favorite of his? I'm sure there's an ocean of favorites, but
oh, yeah,
if you had to, yeah.
So I think SD brought that flavor of Northeast, which has remained, which continues to remain a kind of a mystic and enigmatic appeal, especially for South Indians. It's a region we may not or cannot reach very easily. And the nuances of Rabindra Sangeet and folk, trendy, yet very antique. It was like group music and yet music for a loner, all of that. I mean, what can one say? I mean, the first song, Tadbir se bigdi hui takdeer bana, there is a favorite. And every song of Guide,
right,
every song of SD, I mean,
it's nice you
SD
chose that, yeah, because that's a very peppy song that like a Geeta
with the
Bali
Geeta
song.
that number, yeah.
So,
And Guide, and through, and he didn't want to be predictable, I think. I would guess. He wanted to give something new. He chose to give something new, whether it was a rhythm or the way he used the instruments, the way he used the wind instruments particularly, and the way he dabbled with the language itself. Yeah, SD. I mean, one, you can't say someone is not a favorite and someone is not a
Yeah,
favorite.
I know. But
Yes.
you know, in the time that we were talking about this, I was also thinking about sad songs, and maybe there's a little more melody. But I also think because they're a little unhurried, maybe. So the phrasings are longer, and they allow you to sink into a mood. You know,
Yeah.
like I was just thinking when you made that transition, that unexpected transition from Lag Ja Gale to Vasigara. I was like, wow, Vasigara is actually a sad song, maybe, because there is a, even though the picturization is, it's like a duet, and the song itself is you can't classify it as a happier, but there's a, like you say, that thread of melancholy
Yeah,
in
yeah,
the way.
somber for sure, sure. There is, and also I think that's characterized by the usage of some very plain notes,
Yeah,
some silences here and there. There isn't too many things going on.
yeah.
So it does provide for a moment of, oh, there's nothing here.
Right. And that's something that I think you find in a lot of Harris's songs. He allows the singer to breathe a lot. You know, there's
Oh, he does.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So when this offer comes to you, I'm going to come back to your Tamil film music later, but since we're on this topic, when this offer comes to you, did you think, like, was that a thing that, do I want to do this? Did that happen?
Vasigara?
Yeah.
Well, it's a very amusing story, or an anecdote perhaps. I had just returned by train from Coimbatore, and the landline rings, and someone says, Jairaj sir wants you to come to the studio. And I had just sung a couple of songs for the celebrated Malayalam director, Jairaj. I'd sung for his Malayalam movie, Paitragam Kudumba Samedam. So I was half sleepy and half tired, but I was extremely fond of Jairaj and his works. I said, okay, I'll be at the studio. And then they sent me a Keki Nagar address, and I went there. And when I entered the ground floor studio, those days it was in Keki Nagar and a ground floor, I entered the studio and there was nobody there. And it was a kind of a very unassuming room. And suddenly the Harris walks in, and he says, hi. I say hi, and then I said, where's Jairaj? He says, this is Jairaj. I'm Jairaj. I'm Harris Jairaj. And then he just plays the song on the keys. And he said, this is a tune. And I said, is there someone sung the scratch? He said, no, you do it. And then Tamarai walks in, and then, so it was like probably like a get together, like 2-3 friends out of college meeting after some years and trying to do something. And everything was over in 2 hours, Bharadwaj, just maybe 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. And I was taking an auto rickshaw home, and I remember calling my brother and telling him I sang a very kind of a lilting melody. He said, sing it for me. And in all that humdrum of the auto and the Palavan buses going by, I sang the tune. He said, I can't make head or tail of it. And then I forgot about it until the movie was released. And then I was walking down my street where my home is, and every chai ka dukan, every istriwala, every phone ringtone, every car reverse tone had this song. And then is when I started getting a little worried, because I was knee deep into Carnatic music and trying to establish myself and all of that. So it did not worry me. I was thinking, let's wait, let's see what people say. But then my oldest fans and the youngest, their own grandchildren, came up to sing, this song is very nice. இந்த மாதிரி பாட்டு பாடினா நல்லா இருக்கு, something like that.
So they said it's okay if you sing, but like as long as it's a melodious song. Is that what they said?
I don't know if they meant that. They just liked the lilt, the way it
Okay, yeah.
sounded. Whether they thought it was defined by something, I don't know all of that. But everyone seemed to have liked that song.
What was your introduction to Tamil film music? Where did that happen?
Like I told you, I grew up with Hindi, and I grew up with a lot of Marathi music, Bharadwaj. We lived in an area which was very close to a village called Ghatla village in Chembur. And every music that beamed from there connected to a festival, whether it was Ganpati Chaturthi or Navratri or Raksha Bandhan or Nariyal Purnima. That's when I heard the greatest of Marathi music, Sudhir Phadke, Srinivas Khale, Hridaynath Mangeshkar. So much so that until today, in our house, the climax of a so-called puja or the completion of a puja is with that Marathi song. But in between this Hindi and Marathi and the Malayalam, I may have heard strains of Tamil music, strangely, coming from a household which is South Indian. And among the first songs that I heard was this immortal duet by PBS Sir and Sushila Amma, composition of K.V. Mahadevan and written by Kannadasan Sir. Parthen Sirithen. Parthen Sirithen. Pakkathil Azhaithen. So these were the days when I thought, oh, Sahana,
Yeah.
so fresh, so appealing, so lilting and so happy, so joyous. That's when I these were my perhaps my first introductions to Tamil music. But it's only when I moved here in 1989, when I moved permanently, that I realized, oh my God, this is a whole world that I seem to have missed. And I perhaps need to start all over again from a very young age to be able to soak in it the way I have soaked in Hindi and Marathi and Malayalam music. Pretty late.
At that point, you were also like into classical music heavily and making a career out of it. Did you kind of consciously make an effort to go back and listen to older songs, or did you just listen to whatever came your way?
So the first introduction again was Ilaya Nila, that one. So then that became an obsession, that sound, that charm, the synchronization of Western with the ragam music of the great Ilayaraja sir. So I started following that avidly, and I had friends in Carnatic music who would share and tell me more about that world, his composition. And I was very, very fortunate to sing a composition of it, his. So the story of how I first sang for Ilayaraja, if I may relate that.
Yeah. Is this Kai Vinay, that song?
Yeah, Kai Vinay happened in much later.
Okay.
But so I began when I was in school. I was singing for a school function or something, and the late Mukta Srinivasan, Mukta Films, was at that function because his granddaughter was also participating. He had come from Chennai to Bombay just to make his granddaughter happy, and he heard me sing. At the end of it, a Tamil-speaking gentleman clad in white and white in a typically convent English-speaking surrounding came up and said, Madras vandu oru paattu paada mudiyama. And then I just froze. Oh my God, what is this? And then I didn't pretty much take heed of that. And I think I just nodded, came back home. But he followed up and reached my home and requested my mother that he wanted me to come and sing in Chennai. And I told him my mother was so open to all kinds of music. So she packed me to Chennai with my brother. And I sang for a film called Dampadigal in 1983. When I was like secondary school, composed by the great MSV sir. And the film had Purnima Jairam and Shiv Kumar sir in the main lead. And I came here supposedly to sing just one song, one solo, which was picturized on Silk Smita.
The mind is blown.
Maniyachu Panirandu.
Okay.
And not that I knew any Tamil then, Bharadwaj. I was as weak in Tamil as I was in Hindi in my early years. And then I ended up singing 4 songs in that movie, Dampadigal. 2 solos for Silk Smita and 2 duets for Purnima with the great legendary SPB sir.
Wow.
And then I sang this and it was like a job done, and I went back to Bombay. Later in 1986, I was at a school function, and the lead singer from Chennai didn't land up or couldn't be there. And someone came and said, there is a duet to be sung and SPB sir wants a singer. Would you just do some humming or something in between? So they pushed me on the stage and I sang with him. And then I remember after the concert, he remembered. He said, Dampadigal paadineengle, neenga Chennai vandirungo. I will introduce you to Ilayaraja sir apdinar. So we didn't take it seriously, but he made it a point to tell me once again before we left Shanmukhananda Hall, which is where that happened. Right. And then promptly my mother packed me on another train to reach Chennai, and he did introduce me to Raja sir. I still have a diary, the last page of which has number 16 Kamdar Nagar, S.P. Balasubramaniam. written on it.
Wow. Wow.
And with a 6-digit or 5-digit phone number, which we promptly called at seven. He said, call at 7:30 a.m. when you reach Chennai. So the train came in at 4 o'clock and 7:30 a.m. we called the number and he said, 8 o'clock studio vandurungo. So Raja sir those days was recording for Punnagai Mannu.
Yeah.
And I reached the studio and I saw all these very big people, Kamal sir coming, Chitrama coming in singing. So at the end of the day, around 8 p.m., he had me sing a small portion for a boat song. And the name of the film was Natpu. So this happened in 89. And then I came back because I was doing my own stuff, singing jingles in Bombay. And there was a whole world of music happening in Bombay, which was very hard for me to leave at that point because everything for me was Bombay.
Right.
And, the culture that Bombay offered, etc., etc. So I went back. And then when I moved here in 89, primarily to train under my great Guru Shri Lalgudi sir, he would engage in conversation with me and talk about old film music, music of Hridainath Mangeshkar, music of Mehdi Hassan. And then he once told me, Ilayaraja sir அப்படின்னு ஒருத்தர் இருக்கார் அவர் உன்னை வந்து கூப்பிட்டாருன்னு கட்டாயமா நீ போய் பாடணும். So like I was manme laddu foote. I was like brimming with joy inside because one doesn't expect someone like him to kind of gently goad you into saying, yeah, you can sing in films. And promptly after that, I was called by Raja sir's office to sing Kai Veena Yendu for Vietnam colony.
Right. That's a Hamir Kalyani, right? If I'm not mistaken, kind of.
Well, again, it's the Kalyani family. So it's Hamir Kalyani and then it goes to Bihag and then it's a beautiful song.
Yeah, yeah. So, and then after that, your next recording was?
So prior to Vietnam colony was Iruvar.
Okay.
The one I sang for Rahman.
Narumuge, yeah.
With Vairamuthu sir's lyrics. Narumuge with Unni Krishnan, my dear friend who was with me in the Carnatic music fraternity. Both of us trying our best. So it was Narumuge and then it was Kai Veena in that order. And then much later Bharati happened.
Right. Yeah. That's a beautiful song. So, I mean, the opening lines just fall, they give you this feel of surrender, of kind of that Saranada, and then you just, that when that fall happens in the tune, you just feel like, you know, the surrender is literally happening. It's such a beautiful tune. I remember this incident when I had gone to cover this Carnatic music festival kind of thing in Jaffna, and TMK was there, and Unni Krishnan was part of it, and there was a whole bunch of people there. So when Unni Krishnan finished his concert, somebody from the audience got up and said, can you sing Ennavale? And he just froze because he had kept those two worlds apart, and for him it was a real dilemma, you know, being asked to do this because, you know, he kind of this one.
I can imagine.
Yeah. So he looked around and I said, is it okay if I sing that? You know, have you ever been put in that kind of a situation?
Quite a few times, but when it was possible to explain, I would always say that that comes with a lot of, I mean, there is orchestration, there's instrumentation, and I simply can't get into that groove of singing. That here is what I would have explained, and people have always understood.
Okay. Have you been able to keep the worlds apart in terms of your musical mind? Like what I'm trying to say is that, let's say you sing a great song and there are some great sangatis in that song. The next time you sing a raga that's on stage, would that maybe trigger something in you in the way you sang? Has that happened?
Both the worlds run parallelly. Actually, it's just one world. And sometimes they even intertwine very beautifully. And as far as my musical sensibilities or even sensitivities, they feed off each other.
Right.
Classical music and film music. For example, if I think of Begada, even today for me, my ideal Begada is in Ambara Parambile sung by Yeshudas sir in a Malayalam film. Or I remember moving.
Can you sing a bit of that?
Ambara Parambile Aramatile Chembarati Puve. So the amount of Begada that I have invested or absorbed from this song, or maybe it's just the love for the song. It's hard for me to say that any other song attracts more Begada. I don't know. Similarly, I remember the initial years moving into Chennai, everybody would be speaking about this ragam called Karna Ranjani. Everyone was humming it and everyone was singing it, wanting to listen to it. There were constantly chits in the concept, Karna Ranjani, Karna Ranjani, Karna Ranjani. But I remember hearing a song by Jaydev ji. Jaydev ji, who worked with S.D. Burman Saab, who worked with Ali Akbar Khan Saab. In 1978, he had composed Tumhe dekhti hu to lagta hai se कि जैसे युगों से तुम्हें जानती would hum to myself, युगों से तुम्हें जानती हूँ. What is this buzz now? I've heard Karna Ranjani long ago. And to me, that is a Karna Ranjani. That is the encyclopedia of that ragam.
Right. So this, have you absorbed, I mean, you've talked about your interest in the Ragam Begada, which came from this, you found that in that Yeshoda song or this Jaydev song, you found Karna Ranjani. You know, there are some singers who've told me that they've gone back to, like, say, certain MSV songs or KV Mahadevan songs, because the way they've approached the Ragam helps them reorient and think of fresh ways to present the Ragam on stage for them. Have you consciously done that at any point?
Absolutely. May not be consciously, but it's like for me, I just have to pull it from my inbox. They're all in folders somewhere in my brain.
Earlier, many Carnatic singers were found in film music. M.S. Subbulakshmi, M.L. Vasantakumari, D.K. Patamal. You just found them singing film songs all the time. And then for the longest time, there was like this distinct separation between the two worlds. And then now again, you find some kind of, people getting back into that zone. In the classical worlds, have you encountered any kind of snobbishness or without naming names, but what is the general attitude towards people who kind of straddle these worlds? Is there something that you've encountered that's been a little, is there a prejudice or is there any kind of thing like that? Or
unfortunately, I haven't been told directly, but I believe there's an underlining, film also. She also sings in film. She sings in film and also here. There is that underlying question.
Okay.
One can't deny that.
But that doesn't come in the way of your career. It doesn't cost you opportunities or something like that. Not that.
Well, if anything, it only provides me with, because many people start listening to me with hearing Vasigara or Zara Zara for that matter in the north. And then they're curious to know when they see a name board, classical concert, violin, mridanga. So they end up coming there and many stay.
One of the most unique things, apart from your Manodharma, the way you sing and all that, is the timbre of your voice. I mean, that's such a unique thing. And I think it lends itself beautifully to the Vasigara kind of song, because there's such a, like you used the word lilting sometime back, and that's your voice just, I think sometime back when I wrote your profile in the New Indian Express, somebody said your voice was like dark chocolate. And I think they meant it like a compliment. When has anybody approached you to do let's say this is the Lata zone, the Asha zone of song? Of course, Asha sang a lot of, this is a very broad generalization, of course, but has anybody done that?
Well, I did one for Govind, which is Govind Vasanta, which is yet to be heard, which I would term, may not be the Asha, but a bit on the raunchy side, if I may say so. And I did one for Harris, which didn't get too much notice a couple of years ago, written by Madan Karki, which was also like, it was not like the Vasigara types.
Can you sing that song for us?
I don't remember that song, Bharadwaj. Neither do I remember Govind, but I just remember coming back feeling very, very happy that I was wearing a different set of shoes.
Yeah. So, well, today you find so many people in these singing contests, right?
Mm-hmm.
They kind of go back automatically to a particular generation of songs in order to showcase their prowess, their singing talents. Do you think, therefore, that those songs are still alive in some form? Because all of us belong to a different generation. We grew up with the radio, so some of that is automatically inbuilt in us, right? But today, when people have the choice of listening to music, I mean, you'd think that they gravitate towards what is their generation's music and not necessarily what's older music. How do you feel that playing out today?
I think it's very charming when you hear an 8-year-old sing Zara Si Aahat or Rasme Ulfat for that matter, or a P. Sushila Charavana Poigail Pariya song. It's lovely whether they're doing it to show their metal or whether they naturally take to it or whether it's their parents saying, no, maybe you must sing this song. I think on the whole, it's so charming to see them handle both that as well as this.
Right. When you teach your students, do you stick solely to the classical repertoire, or do you also say sometimes that there's this Jaydev song, or there is this something else that comes, and there's a little bit of a phrase there that might be helpful? Does that also come into when you're imparting your knowledge to your students?
All the time. All the time. My reference point is to the Jaydev or a Roshan or a Khayyam or a Naushad song, always, or a Marathi song. And not only do I refer to them, but I provide them with those CDs and say, listen to this, listen to the use of the voice, listen to how the expression is met, one of long. So even within the framework of sad, there is longing, there's waiting, there is happy
Right.
waiting, and all of that, which gets conveyed so beautifully in some of the most of the old songs.
And that to you is paramount, isn't it? The expression of like kind of making sure that your voice conveys the lyric in its most pure, is not the word I'm looking for, most effective form. That is
Yes,
what you
yes,
strive for, right? when
yeah,
you when you
yeah,
sing classical or any other kind of
yeah,
music.
yeah.
Yeah.
But what happens with film is one tends, it seems to be uh, easier to understand.
Right.
I remember in my college days, I would a tad bit more. I'd love film music because it's easy for me to convey, to understand what and then to convey to it and get the appreciation of everyone around. So there's language, understanding it first, and then communicating it, the right word, the right measure of the gamakam or the harkat or the plain notes or the pauses, the silences. Yeah, all of that is so important to make
Okay.
good music.
Thank you so much for indulging my questions. I really wanted to see what Jayashrie's the other side was. So thank you so much
My
for this.
pleasure, Bharadwaj.
And I would just I'd want you to leave us with another medley if possible.
நின்னை சரணடைந்தேன் கண்ணம்மா நின்னை சரணடைந்தேன் நின்னை சரணடைந்தேன் கண்ணம்மா நின்னை சரணடைந்தேன்.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bharadwaj.